former U.S. goalkeeper Tony Meola is kind enough to join us to preview the U.S. and the Netherlands tomorrow here on Follow the Money. Hey, Tony, good morning. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Yeah, Pauly, Mitch, good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
You got it.
As somebody who has been around these players when they were much younger and around the national team overall throughout the years, could you see this coming over time, that maybe this year was going to be special? Or if you want to get into 2026, what Team USA might really look like down the road?
We didn't qualify in 2018, right? Everyone wanted to blow up the entire system, how we developed players and what it looked like, and it was a mess, and nobody did anything right, and we didn't have any good coaches. And I had been with the youth national teams at that point for about 3 years, and I kept saying in 2018, and I know it's hard to listen to back then because we just coming off of not qualifying, I said there's a really young, good group of players that are going to do some special things when they get a little bit older here as part of the national team. And we've seen that now. We've seen guys go to Europe and make big moves that we never saw in the past. And I've always thought, as you touched on, that this team is going to be better in 2026 than in 2022. But of course, the old saying, right? So there's no tomorrow for you. Nothing's given, right? And they're here today in this moment. I'm not surprised by the position they're in. What I am surprised about is how professionally they've gone about their business for being the second or third youngest team in this tournament.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were high on the Netherlands to maybe win this thing, or a team that could certainly go on a deep run before the entire tournament started. What have you seen so far from this club? What are your concerns for the U.S.? And other than the obvious, which would be, the U.S. allowing maybe an early goal, or let's say 2 in the first 50 minutes, so tough to overcome, what is the number one thing that they have to do tomorrow against the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think giving up 2 goals would be problematic for us, especially early on. If you give up a goal and you still think that the way you've set your team up, the tactics that you're using, the way you're approaching the game is still the right way, you're always in the match, right? What ends up happening when you're 2 goals down is now you have to stretch the game a little bit. Now you have to take a few more chances. Now you have to throw maybe another body or 2 forward that you weren't planning on throwing forward. And when you look at it, this is a team, a Netherlands side, that they've got great names. They've certainly got great players, but I think they've underwhelmed a little bit. And the thing that I would fear the most is that it's still a team that if they do click, I think they have 2 or 3 more gears, this Netherlands side. Now, you might be catching them at a good time. You might be playing them at the right moment. Maybe this is who they are throughout the tournament. We're going to find out tomorrow. But I think you're right. Giving up a goal or 2 early and having to stretch yourself out, because we're not a high-scoring team. I didn't get to Qatar with this group thinking that this team was going to score 2 or 3 goals. Number 9, the striker position, has been the one that we've looked at for quite some time that's been a little bit unsettled, if you will. So I didn't think it was going to be a team that blew teams out. I did think they would dominate in the midfield, and they have, but they're playing a pretty good midfield tomorrow.
Okay. Maybe they overlook us. That's possible. But moving forward, and your area of expertise in being a former player, do you think the inexperience in the young team could actually help them with playing with house money and not a lot of people expected us to be here, and that could help us not only Saturday, but moving forward if we win?
Yeah, look, there's a beauty to being sort of young, dumb, and naive, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily feel the pressure that you might actually be under, but it's a confident group of players. And I think there is a sense that they are playing with house money, because when you're the second or third youngest team in the tournament, no one really is expecting you to do anything, right? And of course, I think what they've done is, and I used to say this, and I think it's true now. Teams always, I think, by the time we qualified in 90 and got to 94, I think teams respected the U.S. and said that they respected the U.S., but I think teams now actually respect the U.S. They actually go into these games and say, you know what, we don't play well today. We're in for it here. And Louis van Gaal, the head coach of the Netherlands, essentially said that in his press conference this morning. And he said, look, this team in the midfield has been really, really good. They're energetic. They're athletic. And I mean, he hit the nail on the head on all accounts. I don't think you're going to find a Netherlands side that's going to think, okay, this is the U.S. and we're going to take our foot off the pedal and move forward here. This will be a close one.
If we face Argentina, I mean, what would you do if you're going against Messi and it's a PK? I mean, what Chesney was able to do with Poland, but as a former keeper, is it a guessing game? Are you studying tape? Is it tendencies? What could you do there to slow him down, and what would your advice be to a keeper?
Yeah, the tendencies, well, you study tape and you look at some tendencies. Now, Messi, keep in mind, he's missed 2 penalty kicks. First player in the history of the World Cup to miss 2 penalty kicks. So he's got himself another record, Lionel Messi, as if he needed him. But I think the first thing is they throw so many players in the box, you have to avoid giving up penalty kicks, right? Because if the ball's constantly in your box and you're reaching and trying to poke balls away, it makes it really, really difficult. I would first say let's hope that we get to that point where we got a sort of game plan, if you will, for Lionel Messi and what it's going to look like. But yeah, there's a mindset to it. I'm not sure that for Argentina, Messi's going to take penalty kicks moving forward. They've got some goal scorers in that team, and he certainly is the leader. What I like about it is this is Messi's team. And he said, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down with me trying to do what we can do. And his team, he did that with the goal against Mexico, and his team's done a really good job of getting him into the next round where it didn't look good with that loss to Saudi Arabia earlier. But yeah, look, there's tape on all of these guys. There's tendencies. I think like anything else, no different than a batter going up to the plate. And, if a guy's throwing a fastball 80% of the time, you're probably looking for a fastball, right? Mm-hmm. So if a guy's shooting to one side 80% of the time, that's probably where you're looking first.
Could a country steal one based on keeper play, and if it goes to PKs? Is that possible?
Well, heck, you look at Poland, who's going to play France. Poland is in this round because of Szczesny in 2 games, right? Yeah. I mean, he has stood on his head. I mean, you see this more. You see this more in hockey. I mean, we have this example, it seems like, in hockey every year, right? Yes. During the playoffs where a goalkeeper gets hot. But you're like, it seems like in hockey, and I know it seems like they're playing every night, right? It never seems like they get off the ice. They just switch arenas, right? So there's a couple more days in between, so you got time to cool down. But Szczesny's been as hot as anybody. And let's face it, if you're looking at it from a U.S. perspective, Matt Turner has been nothing but solid in goal for us. And that save he made against Wales, against England, Mason Mount, right at the end of the first half, the one he went down to his right. Heck, if that thing goes in, they're probably not going on to the next round. So you need a goalkeeper that is sharp at this point in the tournament.
Okay, we brought up, wishful thinking here. If they advance, get Argentina the game plan for Messi at that point. Well, what about tomorrow? Because Cody Gakpo has been dynamite so far for the Netherlands, only 23 years old, 3 matches, 3 goals so far. What's the game plan to neutralize him?
Neutralize the service into him. So Danny Clausen, the guy behind him, has been the guy that's been getting him the ball, and oftentimes if you can neutralize that part of the game, Gakpo doesn't get the ball all that much. But you're right, Gakpo came in here as a young player playing in the Netherlands worth about $50 million. And he scored in all 3 of the first round games, and I can't imagine what the price tag is because he has absolutely lit it up. He is the most dangerous guy, along with the guy on the right side, Dumfries, who plays at Inter Milan in Serie A in Italy. Those 2 guys have really bossed that side of the field. So our left side tomorrow, assuming Pulisic plays, Anthony Robinson for sure on the left-hand side, they're going to have a lot of work to do defensively.
Okay, Tony, last question here, and about the final 90 seconds that we have. How do you see the game going, and what is your prediction for a final score?
Yeah, well, I'll stick with my prediction from the last day or 2. I think this thing goes to extra time, and I think the U.S., based on the fitness that they have in this group, win it 2-1. And I just threw out that Brendan Aronson would be the guy because of his fitness level that he would score the winner. So you can throw that one in as my prop bet, if you will. But Brendan Aronson, a winner, and I've got my fingers crossed.
There we go. You can follow Tony on Twitter. He is at @TMeola1. A pleasure talking to you, sir. Enjoy the match tomorrow. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Yep,
you too. Thank you.
Okay, well, imagine if that comes in.
Yeah. 3-1 to win the match, and then that'd be in regulation. And then to advance, I think the Netherlands minus 210, but a smaller plus price as well. And then Pulisic 4-1 to score. great props up to. It's BTTS is plus 120 and 35 minutes. The prop in this one. Yes, no goal first 35 minutes. Love to see it go to extra time.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
It's going to be, and I think you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of it. And now we get to the knockout stage, which these keepers are going to be huge, and especially if you get the PKs. Got a shot, though. Absolutely.
By the way, I would agree. Like Nigel said earlier, though, and everybody's going to bet the USA, right? I mean, for the most part, it's going to be an overwhelming amount of USA tickets coming in. If you're going to bet them, just bet them today, because if you can grab plus 340 right now. This is fairly easy to predict, right? Because they're going to take so much money. It's going to go down to, if you want to bet the three-way, which people will do it, it's going to go probably below $3 by, tonight? Is my guess. If you can grab plus 340 right now, that might be plus 290 later on in the day.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.